In this video, I'm going to show you how to build an advanced content automation system using N8N. So what we're going to do is N8N is going to run the automation. We're then going to grab a YouTube transcript to feed into the automation for input data. And we're going to use a tool called SuperData, which makes it really easy and clean to get a YouTube transcript quickly. After we get a transcript from YouTube, we're then going to do some really cool stuff with a tool called Airtop. What Airtop's going to allow us to do is load any website that we like, and then we're going to train it to take actions on that website just like a normal human being would. So it's going to load the website, it's going to go to the search box, it's going to type in a specific phrase that we want, it's going to get all the results, and it's going to pull them back for us. And it can even change settings on filters on the website. So if you've got a website that doesn't have an API, you can still do exactly what a human being would do on a website. Go there, type stuff in, change filters, grab results, pull it back, and put it into your N8N automation. When you learn to do this sort of stuff, this is where automations get pretty cool. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it in just a second, and I'm going to show you an example of this live, and then you can copy me and build the whole thing. Not only that, right below this video is the full template for free that you can just grab. If you could do me a huge favor though, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and leave me a comment. I put a lot of effort into these videos to actually put quality out there to people to help you actually build good automation, so I really appreciate it. Moving right along, once we've gone to the website and extracted the information, this is another source of research that we can use when we're building content. So what we're going to do in this example is write a blog post as the end output. You can adapt this for any piece of content. If you watch all my videos, I tailor all of my automations to content creation to help creators create all sorts of content. But the good thing about it is you can adapt it. It's not just a one size fits all. Sorry, it's not just one type of content comes out. You can adapt it to what you need. So moving right along, what we've got to do after we get this source data from Airtop searching and SuperData, we pass it through to an AI, which does a series of steps, and I'll take you through the whole thing, and then out comes our piece of content. So let me show you it in action live so you actually see what it does, and then we're going to build it together. Okay, I'm over at N8N. In order to get up and running with N8N, there's a link below this video. Click that, you get a 14-day free trial, and you can get up and running. Everything in this video has got free credits and stuff for you to use, so you can run it without needing to pay, except for when we get to OpenAI, you might need to put a couple of dollars on your account, but it's not much. So this is what the N8N automation looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on, but it's going to be pretty quick. It's going to pop open a form. I'm going to start with a form. Obviously, if you're building this out to be more of a production-ready thing to sell to clients, you would want to put that into a database like Airtable or Superbase. But if you watch my previous videos, I do a lot of stuff on how to use Airtable. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it simple and just start with a form and just focus on the automation. So let's just click test this workflow now. Okay, you'll notice now that I tested it, it comes up with the form. This is the input. So all we have to do to get a blog post, which is research from the YouTube video and from the live searching that I'll show you how to do it. All we got to do is start and just give it some seed starting point. So I'm just going to put a topic in here, effect of high cortisol on weight gain. That's the search topic, right? I'm also going to get a video. I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to grab a video URL like this. And you need to make sure just doing this that you don't grab the end part where it's got the timestamp, just up before the ampersand symbol there. Grab that. All you have to do is paste those two things in, and that's it. And then you're going to get your piece of content out the other side. I'm going to click that now and quickly go back because this is going to take off. It's pulled through that data. What's happening in this field here is SuperData has got the transcript for us. It's already pulled the transcript. Now it's going into the Airtop. Airtop's now going to load a website to get a scientific study from a website called PubMed. Now I said to it, I want you to go to PubMed and I want you to look and search for a scientific study that relates to this topic of high cortisol and weight gain. So what it's doing now is it's loading up a browser in the cloud. Now if we're quick, we can hop in here and see what the live view looks like. We can grab this here, and if I go over here and just type it in, you can see now it's loading the browser. This is what's actually going on behind the scenes. So here you can see it went to PubMed and it typed that in for me and it searched. It clicked the search button and then all these results come through. Let's just scoot back for a sec to the workflow now. So now you can see it got the results. It's gone pretty quick. I'm going to take you through it step by step when we build this. It's passed all the information to an AI. It's cleaned up the data so it's in a format that's easy for the AI to read. It's then processing all of this input now, and it's going to output a clean blog post at the other end. So let's have a look at what we get. I know this went quite quickly because it's hard to keep up with these automations when you're doing it live like this in a video, but I'm going to go through step by step and teach you how to build it yourself. So let's have a look at what we got. We open up the final node here, and we just take this HTTP. Sorry, I know my head is blocking that. I'll just take it all the way down to there, copy it, and then I'm going to put it, I didn't actually grab that all. Let me try that one more time. I'm going to grab that, copy it. I'm going to put it into an HTML viewer. So I pasted that into an HTML viewer, and this is what I get back. Here's the blog post, well formatted. But the really cool thing about this is you can see here, it actually found a real scientific study on PubMed. This is a real study. It actually went there, filtered through it, read the results, and it actually found the most relevant scientific study that related to my search query. And then it's given a summary of what the study found, and I've embedded this into the article to give it more credibility. So this is quite amazing, really. PubMed does have an API, but other websites don't, and it can be difficult to use some of these APIs when they cost a lot of money and they only allow institutions to use them. But we can do live web searching now with this tool, Airtop. Tell it to click buttons. So I'll show you how to walk through it and all the things that we can do in this video, but this is the result I got using just one YouTube transcript and then Airtop to go live and get research. So let's dive in and build this together. Okay, the first thing you need to do over at N8N is you need to add this form submission. So over on the right-hand side, let's just go form, and I'm going to go quite quickly because some people are at different levels of skill, so I don't want to go too slow, but you just want to go create new form on form submission, which I've got here. Okay, once you've got that, this is really straightforward. All you need to do is just fill in what fields that you want to trigger this event. So I just put search topic, which is a text field, and then video. Yeah, YouTube video, which is also a text field, works perfectly fine. That's all you need to do in here. And then out the other side, you're going to get these outputs, which we can map downstream. So I'm going to leave it at that. The next field here I've got is an edit field. Now, the reason I got this is I ran into a little bit of trouble downstream with this automation. When I got right to the end, right at the very end, when I was writing the post, I needed to reference what the topic was that started this whole automation. And I mapped it back to the form here, which was what the output of this form was. But I kept getting some bugging out errors. So the way I got it around is I just added this node here, and I just parked up the search term in here, and it seemed to fix it. So all you got to do to add an edit fields, this is a really simple node. Just go edit like that and go edit fields or a set field. Plonk that right next to it, and all you got to do is map in the output of that search term like that. So you're going to have this set to expression, map that in there like that, and then you're good to go. And then you can see it's simply just parking up the search term, which I can use downstream. So that's all you need to do there. The next thing we're going to do is get that YouTube transcript. So the way we do that is we need an HTTP module, and we're going to do an API request to the service called SuperData. So to get to use SuperData, you need to go and set up an account at SuperData. So I'll quickly just show you that now. Excuse my voice. This is SuperData, so it's just superdata.ai. Just get a free account here. That's perfectly fine. Once you're in here in the free account, just jump through and get your API key. So you need to go and get your API key, which is, there's what you do. Click that, access here, name it, and then it will spit out an API key. That's all you need for that. So grab your API key here, then come back to N8N, and we're going to fill out the HTTP module. Okay, to get an HTTP, just simply go like this, HTTP, hit that request, open this up. What you're going to put in the URL field is just this. Exactly as I've got it like that. You're going to get this JSON below the video anyway, so you're going to have that. But anyway, that's what goes in there. Okay, and here in the header auth, you actually need to set this up here. So it's generic type, header auth. You're going to go down here and you're going to go create new credential. And in here, in the value, you're going to paste your API key. In the name, what you're going to do is exactly what SuperData told us to do. So if you go back to dashboard at SuperData, sorry, and I'm jumping around a bit, you need to just go to where it tells you how to add the API key. So let's go get transcript like this. No, that's not it. One sec. Okay, you have to click this API documentation page. Superdata really needs to work on making their API stuff and their web page a little easier to actually see stuff. The whole black and white thing it's kind of cool, but not really. So anyway, what you need to do is go to this page and it walks you through exactly how to set it up. So what you need to do here is go X API key. That's what you need to grab, that, and then you've already got your API key. So over here, you would put X API key and then your API key and click save. Okay, make sure you name it something you'd recognize. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Hop out of there. Now, all we need to do in here is in the query parameters, we do need to send these. So we have one query parameter called URL. And what we're going to do is set that box to expression. In the expression box, what we're going to do is we're going to drag in the URL that came from that form. So our video URL is going to drop in straight in like that, drag and drop it straight in. And that is all you need to do. Once you test that step, it's going to pull the transcript. You can see it's broken the transcript up into little chunks like this. This is the whole transcript, right? Into little chunks, like 6 or 7 words at a time. So now that we got that, we can work with that. We can stitch those all back together, and we're going to do that right now. So the next node is a code node here. Let's stitch that stuff back together. So code node on the right, we're going to go code like this, click code. And here, all you're going to do is copy the code that I've given you to save you having to work out how to do it, and it's below the video. So you're just going to run it. You don't actually have to do much at all. So basically, I'll just move that out of the way. Once you've done it, you're going to get it all stitched back together, and there's your transcript. So it's pretty straightforward at this point. All you have to do is just copy the code that I give you. So right now, where we're up to is we've got the form submitted. We've gone and got a video, we got the transcript, and we stitched it back together. So we're looking good. So the next part that we need to do now is do a live search. So what I wanted to do is, if this is a health topic, so I wanted to do something different and enrich the article with some authority and put a scientific study and a little, insert into it. So one of the websites that you can go to do that is called PubMed. So I can go to PubMed, right? And PubMed's over here. If I go to the home, I can just go there, but let's say I'm on PubMed and I want to find something. I can type in like this, effects, sorry, no thanks. So I can just go effects of high cortisol on weight gain, like this, and I can find some studies. Obviously, this is the manual way to do it, which we're not going to be doing. So there's all sorts of different things that I can do. Let's go to PubMed and then here is the results of all these studies. Now I can filter these results and say, I just want stuff in the last 5 years, right? And then I can say I want ones that have got an abstract or a full free text here. Now, this is all stuff well and good when I'm doing it as a human, but we can actually build tools to act like a human, load the web page and do exactly what I just did without us having to do it and build this all into an automation. So the use cases for this are really quite phenomenal. This is just one example. You could do this for getting lead. If you're doing lead generation, you could go and look up stuff about a certain lead, get information and enrich an email. There's all sorts of use cases for this, but this is just one. So now that I've got a whole list of these studies, I could extract all these and pass this through to an AI for it to sort through and find one that's the most relevant to what my article's about. So the way we do this with AI and automation, so we don't have to do a step like this manually, if we head back, is we're going to use this tool called Airtop. Right, so you need to get an account at Airtop. Then we're going to create 4 Airtop modules, which are actually not that difficult to do. It's only going to take us a few minutes to get through the rest of this. So let's just go to Airtop now. Over at Airtop, you need to get your API credentials. So if we go to the home page, get set up, get a free account, go through all that stuff there, and then you need to get your API key. So on the left-hand side, you'll see it says API keys. Click on that. And here you go create new key, exactly the same thing we just did previously. Get your key, and then we're going to come back and set it up. So just before we do that, when you're on any website and using an API, you always want to go to their API page and figure out how do I actually connect. So they tell you how to do it in here. So you can see in here is all the instructions on how to connect when you're doing these automations. So I'm not going to go through this now, but you can see in here, before the video, I went through and worked out how do I do all the different things. So the way that Airtop works is you get it to do different tasks. So the first task will be that it opens a new browser for you in the cloud. So it's opening a browser in the cloud. Then the next task will be loading a website. Then the next task will be typing in something into the search box. And then you can dovetail as many tasks as you want it to do. So in order to get this to work, you're going to go back to N8N and we're going to create the first module. So let's do that now. So you want to put Airtop here. So on the right-hand side, go Airtop like this. And the module that we're getting is create a session. This one, create a session. Okay, there's different modules that we're going to use. The first one's create a session. Let's have a look at that now. So again, what you need to do is create your credentials. So create new credentials, put your API key and save it. That's all you need to do there. Once you've done that, keep the resource to session, operation to create session, and that's all you need to do, and it's done. Pretty straightforward step. Once you do that, what's happening is it's going to load a browser in the cloud. So Airtop's got cloud servers. It's going to load a browser like a Chrome browser in the cloud for you, and it gives you the session ID, which is what we want on the next step. So that's all you need to do at this step. So let's head on to the next step, and this one's create a window. So all the rest of these Airtop modules, just do what I did before. Look up Airtop on the right-hand side and choose the right module. Again, you're going to have the JSON below this video anyway. So your credentials are already there. The resources window, the operation is create new browser window. And then here we need to map in the session ID. But the cool thing about Airtop, when you dovetail these modules together, it automatically knows and it grabs that session ID for you. So that's already populated. Now what we want to do is give it the URL that we actually want to go and search. So here you can see I put PubMed in. I told it to go to PubMed like that. Now, obviously, if you're building this out as an automation, you could dynamically map these URLs in and pull them from an Airtable, and you could swap out these URLs depending on what the action is that you're taking. So for now, I'm just trying to get you to understand how you could use this. So I put PubMed in there, and then I leave everything else just like this, and then you can just click test that step. Now what's going to happen is it's going to actually give you a live preview. If you grab that like this, if you grab that and load that into a browser, which is what we did before, it's now disconnected, it actually shows you what that cloud is doing when it's loading the website. So you can actually watch it live and you can debug it. It's actually quite a cool thing to do. I'm not going to do it in this video, but once you have this live, you would just paste in what I just copied like that. It's not live, so it's not going to work. It's just going to have browser disconnected. But what happens is you can actually see the computer typing in the phrases, clicking on the buttons, doing all the actions that you tell it to do. This is kind of a boring screen. I'm sorry about that. But when it is live and working, it just disconnected because we weren't running anything. But when it is live and working, you can see it like a human being going and taking all these actions that you want it to take. It's pretty cool. So now that that's done, the next one we're going to do is called type and interaction. So here, the module's type interaction, resource interaction, operation is type. So what we're saying is, now that you've got this website loaded, I want you to type in to the search field a certain text. So again, Airtop will automatically map these window and session IDs in for you because it knows from the previous module. So it's really quite handy. All you're going to map in is the text field. So this is where we're telling the computer in the cloud, I want you to search for these phrases or this search string on this website in the search box. So in this case, it was, here. We're basically telling it to do what I did. Go here and type in this and click search. This is what we're telling it to do. So the way we do that is we just map in what the search query was, the effects of high cortisol. And we can map that in, funnily enough, from the on submission form, which wasn't working for me when I was doing the tests earlier, but it looks like it does work now. So I probably didn't need to put that edit fields node in after all. I don't know why it was bugging out earlier, but what we're doing here is we're mapping in from here. So if I go to the on form submission here, the original search query that got submitted from the form was this. All I got to do is drop it into that text field like that. And then I want to slide this little green thing here over. So it says press enter key. So what I'm doing is I'm saying when you're on this website, type in this exact phrase and click that button. That's all it's saying. So now it's taken that action. It will actually do that and search. It will type and search. I could have gone further and said on the menu bar, I could have got really customized and say, I want you to click, 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 this, that. I could find these locations and get it to click and filter. You can do all sorts of stuff, but that would take a little bit more to explain. So I'm not going to get too complex with it now, but you get the idea. So once it's done this, it says here the type of operation is completed. So it successfully did exactly that. So let's move along. The next thing that we're going to do is we're actually just going to scrape the results that we got, and then we're going to pass those through to an AI to clean it up for us. So what you want to do is put a delay step in here. I put in here a 15-second delay. The reason I put in a delay is because I don't know how fast that is operating in the cloud. It might take a little time for it to load. I don't know how fast the servers are. So it's probably best practice you just put a 15-second delay before you go and scrape the results. Otherwise, you might get an error saying there's nothing there. So all we got to do is put a wait step, pretty straightforward. So just click on the right-hand side and go wait, open that module up, whack in 15 into there, and that's 15 seconds, and you're good to go. Okay, and the last module here is we're just going to get those results. So we're going to tell Airtop, okay, thanks, you've done what I said. Now scrape all those results and pass them over to me, thank you. And then we'll use a scrape extension here. So go scrape extension. So the resource is extraction, operation is scrape, and then it's just using the ID and the window automatically. It'll fill that in automatically. And you'll notice over here, it just scrapes that page for me, what it finds. Now, there's different things that you can do. You don't have to scrape. You can do all sorts of different stuff in here. But for now, I'm just going to use the extraction scrape. I could have done different stuff. I could have interacted more. I could have done different things. But just for an example, I'm just going to grab that result that it sees on that page, and I'm going to then clean up this data so it's usable in the next step. Okay, so that's all we need to do on Airtop. So Airtop is now done. We've got our video transcript. That is now done. So we're making some really good progress here, and we're almost finished with this automation. So let's move on to the last leg here. What we want to do next is add a couple of code nodes to clean up what came out of this Airtop node. So grab another code node on the right, just like we did earlier, and then open it up. You're not going to have to do anything here except just use my code, so that's going to work for you. And you'll notice it's taken this really messy stuff on the left that we got out of that Airtop scrape, and it's cleaned it up, right? So it's cleaned it up over here. But if you look closely, it's actually done what I've asked it to do, but it's got some links that I don't particularly need. Like some of them are, actually, no, this one actually has cleaned it up quite nicely. And it's got a really tidy, when I did a few tests earlier, what I found was it was sometimes grabbing a link like the About Us and other links that weren't actually useful links. So what I wanted to do is double check, and I did another node straight afterwards, which to be honest with you probably isn't even needed now because it looks like this one nailed it. But just in case you're getting some real links that, were nothing to do with the studies, because you got to look on my example here. I just wanted it to grab these links, right, for these studies. I just wanted to grab the link and grab the title. That's all I wanted it to do. But in one example, I think down here, it started grabbing these footer links as well, which I didn't want it to do. So I did another code node afterwards, and I just said, don't grab all this other crap here. Like I just said, don't grab all this other crap. Now, you don't need to know how to code to do this. Just do vibe coding and get the AIs to do it. Just ask it to write the JavaScript for you and say, here's my problem. Get rid of all this crap and give me the code and paste it in, and it will do the job for you. So you can see I actually got the same list back because the previous list was clean, but it's a good example to show you anyway. If it wasn't clean, it would have cleaned that out. But it looks like I must have adjusted that and cleaned this one up already, and I just couldn't remember. But it did a good job. Either way, all we're trying to do here is just get a clean extraction of the URLs. So now I've got these URLs. The next job is working out, well, that's all well and good, but which one of these studies for my blog post is the most relevant? So I'm going to let AI decide that for me. So I'm going to take all of these URLs, I'm going to pass them into an AI here. Looks like we got a little bit of a broken thing in here, the search term. So I'm going to have to fix that up in a second, but we'll get to that. So what we're going to do in here is go add a basic LLM chain. So we're going to go basic like this and just go basic LLM chain. Add that on there. Once you've got that module on, I'm just going to hop that out of the way. You need to add a brain to it, which is just an AI module. I'm using OpenAI's ChatGPT. In order to attach a model here for this to work, you need an account over at OpenAI. So just go to OpenAI, get an account, go to the billing section. You might have to add a couple of dollars, like I think they even allow you to add less than $5 to be able to use the models like that. So that's the only thing you're going to need to use to pay. They may even let you have free credits. I can't remember when you first start out if you haven't done it before. Either way, you need an account. Once you got an account, you need to go through the same process and connect and go create new credentials. All you need to do is whack in your API key that OpenAI give you. So in your OpenAI account, look on the left-hand side, dig around a little bit until you find the API section. When you're doing automations like this, you just have to get used to finding API keys on all different websites. So if you can't find it, keep digging and you will find it. I'm not going to go there now for the sake of the length of this video. It's not too difficult. Just go and get your API key once you've got an account set up and paste it in that box. And then you click save, and that's all you need to do. Once you've done that, you can then choose a model. I just choose 4.0 mini for this one. Because it's a pretty simple task. You could use a more complex model if you wanted, like 4.1. Okay, once you've done that and connected that on, I'm going to show you what the structured output is in just a second. But first of all, let's just clean up some of the issues we got in here, and I'll tell you what we're doing in here. So this one here did not get the right search term. So I'm going to have to scoot back and tell it to get that search term. So let's just try and drag that search term from my edit node where I parked it up earlier. So if I go grab that there and map that in there, you can see that one mapped perfectly fine. So there you go. I got to use my edit node after all. So all I did was I parked that search term. On the right-hand side, you can see there's the search query. So basically what I'm saying to the AI is your task is to read through all the objects below and choose the best matching to the search query. So here it's got all of the titles and URLs, and its job is read them, read the search query, and find the best match that you think a study that is the most suitable for what we're talking about. And it's going to spit out a result. Now, it looks like it spat out a result anyway, even though I didn't know what the search query was, which is a little bit silly. But we can just test that again there. Hopefully, I don't have to repen that data. And then it's going to read through all those and spit out the most relevant results. So there we go here. It's got relationship between stress, eating behavior, and obesity. That's a pretty good result, considering that the topic that we gave it was effects of high cortisol on weight gain. So I think it did a pretty good job. And then it's got a PubMed link for us there. So now we've got a study that we can use. But right now we don't actually know what that study says. We don't have any of the information from the study. So now what we're going to do is we're going to load this page up and we're going to get those results back. So the way we do that is we add this HTTP module, another HTTP module, open it up. This is a really simple one. All we got to do is grab the URL like that from the previous step, and then just click test step, and then it will load that web page up and it will get the content for us of that page. So there you go there. And it's a bit of a messy gobbledygook of stuff in here that we're going to have to clean up, but that's easy enough to clean up. We've got a scrape now of what this scientific article is about, and now the next job is to clean this up because it's grabbed all sorts of stuff from that page that we don't really need. Most of it is stuff we don't need. So let's just tidy that up, then we're going to pass it all into the AI. So the way to tidy this is another code node. There's a lot of code nodes in this. You don't have to worry about it if you haven't done coding at all. Just copy what I've got. This is just telling it to extract and clean up stuff from that mess of a extract that we got. Let's just test it now. And you can see we should get a clean output on this side. There we go. Nice and tidy. So from that whole bunch of mess, we got a really clean output. And this is the abstract of the article. We don't need the entire scientific article because we're just using a soundbite that we can put into a blog post. So now that I got my soundbite from a real scientific article, I'm going to pass all of this into another LLM chain, which is just exactly like this one. So just duplicate it over. And then what I'm doing in here is I'm just giving it a prompt. It looks like the YouTube transcript now is broken down here for some reason. So sometimes this happens when you're doing automations. You just got to figure out why did that break, and then just going to remap it. I might have moved something and I didn't realize, or something's gone wrong. But it looks like here the output of code 3. Yeah, it's this one here. Looks like I actually had changed that and I got the wrong mapping in there. That was my bad, but that's all good. We can fix that up live to show you. So now it's green. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I just given it a prompt. I'm not going to read this too much, but just give you a rough idea. I'm just basically saying, I want you to write a blog post, okay? The title of the blog post is this. This is what we're talking about. So I've given it all the information here, and then I map in the study title, the study URL, the abstract that we just cleaned up, and you can see it's got all this information here. So it's got all this information to read, and we also given it the whole video transcript that we scraped from earlier, which is a bit longer, obviously, to there. Then I give it some notes, and I tell it how I want it to output it, and, that's all we got to do. So one other thing that we want to do in here is slide this require specific output format, slide that over to green. What we're going to do is we're going to make the AI output in a structure that we want. I realized I forgot to tell you this in the previous step, so I will jump back. What we're doing in here is we just say, output it like this. Pretty straightforward. Final blog post, there it is. Just tell it to do that and it will behave itself and do that. And back here, I did the same thing. I just told it I want an output with title and URL, and that's it. That stops the AI from spitting out a whole bunch of extra stuff like, here's a great result that I got for you, and giving you conversation. You don't want that. You just want a clean output that you can work with downstream. You don't want it giving extra commentary around its output. So now that we've done that, we can run that like this, and it's going to run, and it's going to read all this information, and it's going to take our scientific study, and it's going to embed it into our article, and it's going to read the YouTube script, and it's going to create a blog post for us in this example, and it's going to output it. And then we're going to just do one more code node to clean it up on the other side, because sometimes the AIs do some quirky stuff and they add markdown text, which you'll see in just a second. And I just like to clean it up before I'm done. So while that's running, I'll pause the video and then I'm going to show you the end result, and then we're good. And then we're finished with this automation. Okay, it looks like it's done. Let's open her up, have a look. Here you can see it's done the output. Now, what I mean is it's got these /n. If you notice, if you look closely, it might be a little hard to see. These are new line characters for Markdown. I can't stop the AI sometimes from doing this. It really annoys me. There's probably something I'm missing. But anyway, it's easy to fix it. Hop out of there. I just add a code node on the end and say regex, or clean up out all these characters that I don't want so I can have a clean output, please. That's all this is doing. And then voila, out the other side, we're going to have a nice clean output like this. Let's grab it again. And let's go all the way to bottom and grab that, copy it, go back to our original where we started this video. Let's paste it in like this and see what we got. Bang. And there's an article that we got. So you can see here, it's found it's embedded the authority paragraph. Now, it's written it kind of doofusly. We could fix that out, authority paragraph. We don't want it to write it like that. But you can say research published in here found that stress associated with an increase, blah, 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 blah. It's actually embedded a pretty cool little scientific validation study in here inside an article. And then it's given us this article. So that's the end of this automation. I hope you found it useful. Let's just have a recap of what we achieved in here so you're clear on the steps that we took. And then you can go and build your own automations and adapt this to whatever you need. So we started with a form. You could have built Airtable or something else to make it more complex. We then just got the video transcript. We cleaned it up. Then we did some live searching like a human would do on a website and got information. And we did that using Airtop and a series of Airtop nodes. We cleaned those up. We passed that into an AI, and then to choose the best URL, best study that would fit our content. We then loaded that page up, we cleaned it, passed it into an AI, it wrote an article, we cleaned it up, and we're done. So I hope you found this video useful on how to build automations like this. If you did, do me a huge favor, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I really appreciate it. Leave me a comment below and hit the like button. I'll see you in the next video.